Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Horizon podcast, episode 18. I am joined here with Nicky, entrepreneur and owner of Fuerza Pilates Studio in Los Angeles. Now, before we dive in and get into anything, I just got to remind you, make sure you click that subscribe button. When you get to the end of this, give us some comments, and her story for sure is going to impact someone you know. I just ask that you hit the share button, send it out into the ecosystem, and let's make sure as many people who can benefit from her story, her struggles, her wins, that we get it into their feed. All right. Anyways, this is Nicky. Nicky, thanks for joining me today. It's awesome to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me. You have an incredible movie phone voice.
All right. I like that movie phone. I haven't heard that one.
You have it? Oh my
Yeah.
God, that was
Well,
so good. Your
radio
intro was
voice
amazing.
or commercial voice, but not movie phone. That was like when you called in, right? And it would tell you like the movie times and stuff like that.
Remember that?
Dang.
Yeah.
Should we bring it back? Should I just create a subscription for movie times? And
I
no,
don't know if people go to the
nobody
movies
goes to the movies.
much
Very,
anymore.
a lot less than they used to for sure.
Yeah, that's true, but very nice.
So I like the setup you have behind you. You're joining me from one of your studios?
Yeah. So I own a Pilates studio in LA, like you mentioned, and I'm opening up a second location in Miami very soon. So
Wow.
this is where I work all day long. I have reformers. If I turn the camera, you'll be able to see all the other equipment that I work on.
Dang, that's amazing. So you are going to be
Yeah.
jet setting, like teaching Pilates at 9 a.m. and then in Miami at like
Oh yeah.
3 p.m., something like that?
If the time zone changed and worked like that, yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna be a little bi-coastal at the beginning. We'll see, and then hopefully migrate fully back to Miami. I'm originally from Miami, so I've been
Okay.
living out in LA since 2012,
Yeah.
and hence this is why I have my business currently.
Yeah.
But I want to have something that is more where I originated, where I grew up, my roots. I
Hmm.
want to be back close to my family, so I'm constantly traveling back and forth to Miami.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta do it because I have a lot of clients in Miami. I have a lot of instructors that I train that are on the East Coast. So that's the purpose of going over there and seeing. I don't know. We'll see how it works. If I can bounce back and forth a little bit more or maybe less,
Awesome.
it
So
works
then
out either
somebody will
way.
take over and run the studio in Los Angeles, right? That's how that'll work.
I don't know. I feel like my mind is running in so many different directions
Hmm.
in terms of how to navigate being in both places across the country. And I mean, I've had this specific location. We're going on year three.
Hmm.
And prior to that, I was working with clients in LA for a long time. So I work mainly with professional athletes and instructors. Like I teach teachers.
Yeah.
And I feel like when the guys are in their off season, I'm okay going to the opposite location, but the off season's really busy in Miami. So
Yeah.
this is going to be the first year that I'm gonna have to figure out how to juggle being in both places essentially at the same time.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
yeah, it's or yeah,
I'll throw this out there. I think leadership delegation is something in your near future because
oh yeah,
that is a very far distance to try to be in the same place, same time.
yeah,
I've definitely managed working from Florida, having a company in Los Angeles, but I did not also have a company in Florida. I just was working California time from Florida, right? So
right. Hmm.
yeah, maybe we get into that and some of the struggles you'll be facing there. But I want to ask you a question. You said that you mostly work with professional athletes. Okay.
Hmm.
So this is two-part
So,
question. Go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, go
What's the
ahead.
second part?
Well, I haven't even given you the first part yet. So,
That's true. I was like, what's the first question?
okay. So two-part question. First off is what kind of athletes are we talking about here?
Hmm.
And
Professional athletes.
yes, but like what sports?
Okay. So I work with professional athletes, mainly NFL, and I can give you the entire kind of like how professional athletes are starting to train and have changed their training since then. But last season, I saw a lot of NBA players, and then I have MLB players and also soccer players. So there's a variety, but mainly I work with professional football players, American football. So the NFL guys.
Yeah. So you led right into what I was thinking it was going to be is these are the biggest, toughest, gnarliest, tackling, all this stuff, right? And you hear
Yeah.
stories that they do ballet and they do these things to train differently, right? Pilates, to me, optically, is like the last thing that you associate with
Yeah.
football, right? So tell me a little bit more about like the technical side. Like, why does a football player benefit so much from doing what my perception of it is kind of a little bit more of a silky kind of feminine, and lots of women do Pilates. I think I'm not wrong that the majority of the population in the classes are probably women, but I might be off with that. So
No, you're yeah, pretty accurate.
so what's the deal? How does a football player benefit so much from this?
So this is a question I receive all the time. So there are instructors, new instructors, seasoned instructors who would love to figure out and learn how to train professional athletes. Um, for professional athletes, there are so many benefits, and for anybody in general, everyday movers, um, dancers, recreational athletes, all of that. Um, Pilates is very hot and new right now in the fitness industry. Everybody wants to become a Pilates instructor. Everybody wants to open a Pilates studio. So, how, as an individual, do you know where to go that it's an accurate description of Pilates and you're going to reap whatever the benefits are of Pilates? So, as a person who doesn't do Pilates asking me that question, it's very difficult for you to figure out where to go and who to see and where, what position or what kind of instructor you should be working with at a beginner level versus more of a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's different stages of our careers as instructors where the more experience we gain, the more we can handle, the more challenges we can face, the more injuries we've seen. So all of that through experience. So part one of your question, why would athletes benefit from Pilates?
Yeah.
Or
Well,
why would we, what
like
was
if you
that?
told me that your main clientele was like ice skaters, I'd be like, oh, it seems like it makes sense. Like it just gets this
Yeah.
correlation that, right,
Hmm.
flexibility and all these things. Now, not that you don't want
Right.
flexibility, but when you think of these big, powerful dudes just smashing into each other and diving over the for the ball and all that stuff, I think naturally think of iron plates smashing together in weight rooms and that type of stuff, right? So, I'm just open up, and if maybe I'm a football player out there, I happen to come across this, I'm listening, and I've never been told I need this, and your next professional football player is coming in, what are they going to hear from you right now that goes, I got to go to Pilates on the off season?
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it, or really what you just asked. So, when I see a new athlete, professional athlete, they've already gone through my Instagram. They've already seen like that other people are doing it. They're competitive by nature, and they want to try. If this person's really good on the field, I'm going to try whatever it is and see if I can benefit from whatever they are benefiting. So a lot of the times it comes from seeing a video of a colleague or an ex-teammate doing Pilates, and then people talk to people. It's all through by word of mouth. That's where they land in here. So they already have some sort of idea that they know that it could potentially help them on and off the field,
Mhm.
right? Injury prevention, which we all talk about, um, more like a faster recovery. But when they come in, I have to assess what is necessary and what is needed and what they are missing in their current foundation of movement. So let's say an athlete comes in and he's like, I'm having a lot of pain in my lower back constantly, or I'm having issues I'm having hamstring issues. I'm having hip injury issues. Like I'm getting this pain every single year. My ankle hurts, whatever it may be. So then I'm going to try to assess what that is. And that's how I approach that position. So the way you were saying is like a very archaic way of thinking about what athletes need to do in
Mhm.
order to help them on the field, right? Like lifting heavy. Archaic mindset still comes across the board in the gyms, in their weight rooms, at their training facilities, part of the teams. But
Yeah.
outside of the team, trainers, we're not training like that anymore. We're training for agility. We're training for quick movements, able to rotate, pivot quickly while also getting hit and jabbed in 5 different directions with a helmet while it's 20 degrees outside, there's snow and maybe raining. How are you going to prevent yourself from being injured with that high impact and your body being immobile?
Yeah.
So you can't just have the ability to pick somebody up and throw them and toss them across the floor. Like offensive. So by the way, I don't know anything about sports. So if I say something that's sports related that doesn't make sense, please correct me. But
Offense is you have the
offense,
ball. Defense
okay.
is you don't. Okay.
That I know.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But I'm saying when there's like the big guys, like line of
Mhm.
defense, right? The big guys are usually at the front. They need to be able to move now as well. Like
Yep.
the way, the shape, the movement of the NFL has changed completely. So at one point, yeah, they needed to be able to lift somebody really, really heavy or stop somebody really heavy from coming across the field. But there's really skinny people, there's really strong people in terms of
Yeah.
girth, also speed, agility, all of that, it changes. So they need to be able to position themselves somewhere that they can quickly move. Pilates is going to help them. So I
Right.
explain it to them in a sense that I'm going to help you be able to move and adapt on the field a lot quicker than just standing there in one position with a heavy dead weight.
Makes sense. Have you seen any of these athletes that you've been training, like either if you're watching them or them coming back and actually crediting Pilates to having increased their performance, or you're seeing them move up the roster, or their stats are getting better, or they don't get injured, or like, have you been getting that praise from
Yeah.
them?
Today, I train, like I mentioned, NBA as well, and I trained one of my NBA players virtually during season. So I
Mhm.
do that as well with all my players. I don't only physically see them in the off season. Some of the Rams guys, like I have them coming during season on their off days. But today I was virtually training one of my NBA guys, and he's like, my stretch coach told me I've improved so much in my hip mobility and hamstring flexibility. And he's like, I said, you're doing a great job. You're working hard. He goes, no, I know Pilates has helped me and it's helping me and take some credit for it. I'm like, I don't want to take the credit because they're the ones doing the work, but it's the consistency. So
Mhm.
if they do come and work with me consistently, like anything we do, if we're consistent with something, hopefully it
Mhm.
improves. That's that's why the guys keep coming back. But I do hear the guys praising, like, I never was able to do this before. And I
That's awesome.
know because of the work that we're doing, it helps me so much.
So are these guys like, just like walking into the shopping center where the gym door is and kind of poking their head in and then doing the classes right along with all the random people in the classes, and you're just sitting there with the
No,
quarterback of the Rams next to you and you're doing class?
no,
These are
absolutely not.
private
So
sessions.
yeah, I have a private studio. So my studio only has 4 reformers, and I'm usually using one at a time.
Okay.
So the doors are always locked. I actually have tints on the windows, all because of like the privacy of what we're working on with the clientele that I work with.
Right.
And the group setting, I wouldn't recommend for an athlete, especially during season or working through an injury. And especially if you're new to Pilates in general, if it's anybody, that I would recommend one-on-one training just to begin to understand the equipment. The equipment is very challenging to understand. The vocabulary is difficult. So we have a lot of terms that you don't necessarily use in a gym setting or a CrossFit setting.
Mhm.
Not only the vocabulary and the equipment, but also the movement patterns are very different. So we incorporate stretch along with resistance type work. So we have the reformer, I'm actually on one. So I don't have the spring tension on it, so I can slide on the mat, but the springs change resistance on the equipment. So depending on which direction we're facing, if I'm facing forward or back, the spring change, the challenge will be in a different direction.
Mhm.
You can stand on it, you can stand off the side of it. There's props that you can add on it too. So there's a lot of knowledge that comes with Pilates, not only besides the movement. And I would recommend everybody doing a private session at least once if you can. I know it could be more of a costly
Yeah.
situation rather than going to a group class. That could be $45, but the attention is not on you. Um, and to learn all of that, I would recommend so you could feel comfortable and confident going to a group setting. So especially athletes, we're not trying to get injured during season or out of season. Like this is another reason why athletes don't go skiing during or play golf. They don't want to get injured. So the same thing could happen on any piece of equipment that's foreign to you.
Sure.
And if I go to the gym, the equipment is so foreign to me, I can get hurt anywhere. So that's why I would recommend in a Pilates setting to do a private session 1 or 2 times before.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense because there's a lot of like Pilates gyms where there's like a Ralph's next to it and then there's a Pilates gym in the corner. So I'm just thinking of the guys, coming in there and
No.
yeah. So not like
No.
that. So the second part to my question was when it comes to professional athletes, is this something that you have pursued and curated and you were like, I'm going to become the trainer of professional athletes? Or is it just because you live in the mecca of where a lot of them live, they just happen to go there? Or how did that all transpire?
Yeah. Because I'm in LA, and LA has changed a lot over the last few years, but when I first started training professional athletes, this was about 7 years ago now. And I was very new to being a teacher. I was maybe a year, 2 years in. And I worked in a studio that we catered to clientele that was around 60 plus. So that's what Pilates had been known for a while, right? It's either women or older clientele that they need help recovering from some specific injury or they want to help them with balance.
Yeah.
Then when COVID, I don't know if it was COVID, I was pre-COVID actually. One of my friends would go to this sports rehab facility here in LA because at that point, every off season, this place was filled with athletes. All the trainers were here. We had these athletic gyms. Now it's more so Miami, Dallas. These are bigger hubs. Arizona has like all the MLB guys. But LA was like the place for football and basketball. Everybody came out here. And I went to this gym with one of my friends with her for a private session, and I was changing all of the exercises based off of what felt good to me, and it was basically Pilates at the gym. And the trainer and I started looking at different pieces of equipment. He was like, "What would you do here? What would you do here?" And then I went on my way. Continued things went on, but he trained a lot of NFL guys, so he started using the movements on his athletes at the gym. And one guy specifically, Eric Hendricks, he was like, "Where are you getting all of these new moves? Like, where is this coming from?" He's like, "Oh, this Pilates instructor that I know." So he came, he saw me. He's like, "I never went back to the gym. I just started doing Pilates." So
Wow.
with one athlete, because I live in LA and I had the connection with a trainer, it kind of spread like wildfire. At that point, NFL guys, no athlete really. I mean, baseball players probably for a while, but it wasn't as common. We're doing Pilates, and once it sparked, it took about 2 seasons, and then it's just like the floodgates opened. I feel like more than half the NFL does Pilates now.
What's going on, everyone? Today's episode was brought to you by Policy Engineer Insurance Solutions, a company that my brother and I own and are passionate about helping people with what we call the stable table planning, health, wealth, and legacy planning to give you a stable, predictable retirement. If you want to know more about how we do what we do and what areas we can serve you in, visit policyengineer.com. So when you first started having, professional athletes come to you and stuff like that. Now, I know you said you don't watch sport, you don't know a ton about it, but was there any of that like starstruckness and like, oh my gosh,
No, I
these
had
people are
no
coming?
idea who
Okay,
anybody was.
right.
So like, Eric would text me. He's like, "Hey, can I give you?" This is one time. "Hey, can I give you my buddy's number? His name is Christian McCaffrey." And I was like, "Sure, cool. Like, if you think he's a cool, nice person, like, pass my phone number along." And at this point, Eric had already connected me with a bunch of people. So I trusted, now Eric and I had a relationship. I had trusted the people he's bringing over me. So then I texted one of my guy friends. I was like, do you know who this player is? And he's like, "Are you kidding? This is my fantasy football name or something." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I still don't know what that means, but like, cool." So for a long time, like I work with Anthony Barr, I work with Kenny Clark. I don't know who they are in terms of
Like their
how
fame or
reputable they
what they're famous
are.
for kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know
Right.
how reputable they are in that industry because it's not an industry that I was ever a part of.
Right.
I still, like, if I hear a name, I still have no idea who it is. Like, you can tell me any quarterback's name, and I was like, "Who?"
Yeah.
But now I understand what their off season looks like because I know when I'm getting preparing to get really, really busy or if I need to rearrange my schedule for what some sort of wave is coming at me.
Right.
So I know all about the season, but I have no idea about the sport.
Right.
But I know about the movement patterns that they have when I meet them.
Now, from a professional standpoint, like as a business owner and a professional,
Mhm.
I'm kind of getting a little bit more why you said you got to be in two places at once, because this is not like a membership gym where people are coming into classes all day long
Right.
and that type of thing, right? So
Yeah.
the whole leadership delegation thing is different than what I was thinking, right? Because I'm thinking classes and all these people coming in and stuff. But
Yeah.
as a professional, how challenging is it to work with professional, famous athletes? Would you say it's tough? Is it easy? Is it a mix of people?
It's definitely a mix of people. I don't typically work with celebrities, and even though I'm in LA and there's a lot of celebrity clientele out here, I find it to be most challenging in the sense of working around scheduling and also um, the respect of somebody else's time.
Hmm.
And because I am so busy, so not only train professional athletes, I teach instructors.
Okay.
The reason I chose this kind of business and the way I train, my personality resonates with my clientele, is because I like what I do and I hope to help people within movement. So when working with somebody who's dedicated to the work and practice, because I am dedicating myself to your movement and to your career to help the longevity of your career by helping your body. And what I really like to do is help people feel better. So if I can't help people feel better because they're not consistent, then I won't necessarily be able to work with a client that doesn't have the time. So with working with professional athletes, there are things that I've learned over time because I've never really like I've never been in that world prior to where my position or
Mhm.
my career has led me to now. But I'm understanding the difference in personalities depending on the sport and
Okay.
also dependent on the position and the level of popularity that an individual may have. So it's like anything, right? Like I'm in the hospitality business at the end of
Yeah.
the day. I'm a fitness trainer, and then I'm in a little more details. I'm a Pilates instructor. So I'm still catering to the needs of my clientele. I'm getting paid to do a service,
Mhm.
and the service is to help train their bodies and train them, educate them. It's a different kind of service, but yeah, I need to adapt to different personalities.
Yeah.
And I can be one way with somebody, still be myself, but I have to adapt and be something a little differently with others. So sometimes I need to be a little more patient.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to be a little more forward. Sometimes a little more strict. Sometimes I can be a little more laxed. It depends on like clientele. But yeah, there are times that I need to adapt depending on the type of athlete that comes through the door.
Yep. You got to be a chameleon, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the things you're saying resonate. Like, it's funny how different businesses, it's still a lot of the same fundamentals. Like, I run a financial services firm as my full time, like, that's my business, right? And I've interviewed many other business owners from real estate, you Pilates now, other trainers, actors, different people. And it's always the same that if you're really going to be really successful, that you've got to have those multiple different faces to meet people where they are, right? Because when
Hmm.
you're the one who's providing the service and they're paying you, it's very important that they want to pay you and that you can connect with them on their level, right? They're not going to mold and adapt to be you necessarily. I mean, maybe they will if you get a high enough demand and like you just choose, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's
Yeah,
just it's
I definitely do. And it's an ego thing, type of thing after later. Like I want to be able to provide that service to my clientele. And I don't want to have everybody come in like through the door and demand like, I need sessions with you. And I can just, I don't want to lose myself in a sense like, oh, there's everybody wants to work with me. Um, I'm very humbled by this opportunity that I'm being
mhm,
given to be
yeah.
able to meet so many different people. And I still like that part of my business. I still like that part of owning a business that I I can adapt if I need to. And I feel like it strengthens me being able to become more patient and allow more grace depending on all the personalities we get to meet. And I rather that than sit at home and kind of stick my own ways and not see other people's perspectives.
Right.
It helps me grow as an individual. So I like it.
That's awesome. Now, with all of that said, I know you said you don't do celebrities, but you're not
Mm.
exclusively a like professional sports Pilates trainer. You have non-athletes, or is it only athletes?
Yeah. So as my business changed throughout the years, it continues to, I adapt to what the demands are and what the demands are from just the clientele that I'm being not given, but kind of molding towards a different direction. So I'm ex I'm almost exclusively working with Pilates instructors and athletes.
Okay.
And I have a few clients that I'm still working with from my beginning stages of
Like
um,
legacy
become
clients type.
being, yeah, almost, right? So they're still on my schedule for a bit until I can no longer service that kind of or have that kind of attention. I hate to say, but like at some point, I'm not just a trainer, I'm more of a specialty instructor.
Mhm.
And that's what I feel the happiest doing. And yes, I love my clients that no longer have injuries that we've already worked through and now we kind of do a workout, but it's not necessarily the business that I want to be in,
Mm.
more less of a fitness instructor, more so of a specialty, like you said,
Yeah.
specialty instructor, Pilates instructor. So yeah, at some point it will be more exclusively professional athletes and instructors. That's actually what I'm opening in Miami. Miami is going to be a training facility only for high performance athletes and professional athletes only, and then instructors. So it's like a mentorship studio.
Nice. So
Hmm.
that is, great, big aspirations. And I want to get to that in a second, but I have another question that I'm dying to ask here. So, when you go and like a wedding, when you're buying all the different things for a wedding, it
Hmm.
seems like everything out there, right? You can go and say, hey, we need to rent tables. And it's like, oh, yeah, what's it for? And you're like, a wedding. And it's like, oh, here's the wedding price list. But if I was
Hmm.
throwing like a 6-year-old's birthday and I needed tables, the prices would be like half of that. Like everybody gets this new lens at wedding
Oh,
stuff, right?
I
Everything's
see where
more
you're going.
expensive for weddings. That's
Hmm.
been my experience. I remember we were shopping and you're like, wait, hold on a second. It was this price. Yeah, but it's a wedding. It's like the budget is there and everybody. So when you're dealing with celebrity clients, how does that work? I mean, all of us want to know. Not everyone has celebrity clients, and or not celebrity, but professional. I guess they're celebrities in a different
Yeah,
way, right?
celebrity. Yeah. Hmm.
They're obviously not all, but many of these pro athletes are in the top 1% of the 1% of income earners, especially your very well known names. How does that work? How do you price that out? You go, okay, you're a professional athlete now. Okay, here's this pricing. Oh, you're the little old lady. I know now you only do that, but in the beginning, when you had both clients and you're making your way through this, and someone listening to this who's an instructor might get something from it, right? You're like, dang, I charge $200 an hour, but I'd love to charge five. Is this the first client? I tell them I charge 500 and, step up and put your chest out and say like, how does that work? You got to break it down
Yeah.
before you were known for who you are today. Take me to somebody who's growing, aspiring, and like fighting through. And like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So it's a great question because a lot of people do ask me, instructors, like, what do I charge a professional athlete versus what do I charge my normal clientele? And the answer I give those instructors that ask me, it's I charge the same rate. I charge the same rate. My time is my time unless I need to travel somewhere. Unless you require more of my time, the time goes up. And it depends on what is part of that time. So if I'm training, and I'll give you the kind of what that process looks like, but if I'm training somebody a one-on-one session, that's the price. If I'm mentoring somebody in terms of giving you a lot more education and we're sitting and I'm answering your questions and I'm taking time beforehand, that's a different price. But that's more of a guidance and a mentorship. But the training is the training session. So as I become busier, as my name becomes more well known, my price will go up to accommodate to that. But everybody, whoever's a new client at that level that I'm offering that price at, that's the price. So it doesn't matter if you make $30,000 a year or $50 million a year, the price of my 1 hour session is going to be the same. When I began teaching, there's different things that I need to offer. So as a new instructor, and new instructors, if they're watching this, or any trainer, you start with a rate that you know is what you're valued at that time, just like any business.
How do you know what you're valued
And
at that time? Just call around and compare and be like, oh, they charge this, I'll
you
charge
see
that.
you see what's happening in the area. So you check out different Pilates studios, what they're charging for private sessions. You see if you own a studio yourself, or I began working out of a garage. So I was at one of my clients' garages, and I put my equipment in her garage, and she allowed me to use that, and I didn't pay rent. So that's going to be a different price. And when I move into my own studio
Yeah.
space that I now have an overhead, I need to pay for. So when you're beginning, when you're starting out, your rate as an instructor goes with the kind of level of education, the level of experience that you may
Yeah.
have. So at the beginning, let's say I started at like $85 an hour. And now I had package pricing. I offered first time clients offers, whatever it may be. But once your schedule gets filled and your people are constantly, consistently coming to see you, your rate, it's time to raise your rates. And then potentially you start to fizzle out some of the people at the lower rates. And then every time you see somebody new, you can raise your rate more and more. At some point, you're going to have a variety of rates, but you want to bring the people at the lowest rate up to something similar, comparable to what your rate is currently. And the people who can't afford it at that level, that now through the experience and the time that I've had, then unfortunately that they'll take other options. Like I offer virtual mat sessions, virtual group reformer sessions. So people that I know that I used to work with now take those virtual group classes with me instead. But they already have the base and the fundamentals of working with me when they did at the rate they did.
Right.
So for new people, I would say once you feel like you're overworking, and once you feel like you're valued a lot larger or higher than your current rate that you're charging, it's on you to change your rates. Like we are the ones who are able to adjust that rate, and
Yeah.
you'll know if it's too high or too not or not high enough.
Right. Well, and there's like a math equation to it. You can raise your prices a certain amount and afford to lose a certain number of clientele, make the exact same dollar amount, but have
Exactly.
less people you need to work with, right?
Yes.
And there, you got to be careful with that jump, right? You go too much and then it's like, oh, shoot, like I lost too many people, right? And you're trying to figure them out, come back. I have a client who's a hairstylist, and I was talking through that with him, and I was like, I think it's time to raise your prices. You're so busy, you're freaking out. You can't even keep your schedule, all this stuff.
Right.
You don't need as many clients. But if you charge more and you lose 10% of them, you'll make as much or maybe get a raise. So, so what does it cost me today if I want to come and do Pilates private session, Fuerza? Where have these prices gotten to from $85?
Right. 235.
$235.
And me personally, like, I don't know, it really it depends on, like, I have instructors paying that. And I know it's a very high rate. Like if I wanted to go to a training session, I wouldn't pay $225, but it's because of where I'm at in the level of education that I already have. So if I was an instructor, if I were an athlete and I needed something specific, that's why you come to me.
Yeah.
So you're trying to learn something, you're trying to get through something. And what my hope is not to work with people for over a certain amount of time, because at some point you're ready. Like I want to get my clients prepared and ready to go take a group class and feel comfortable, to be able to go skiing again, to be able to go golfing and not feel like they're going to get injured. All of these things is what I prepare them for, and then they no longer need me. So
I see. Until they get hurt again, and then they come back, and then they're like, "Help me, Nicky."
Yeah, hopefully not. But yes, essentially that.
So do you look at your business and aspire to saying like, okay, I have a goal over time, milestones I want to hit. I'm trying to get to $500 an hour for private sessions. And is that a thought in your business? Do you think that way?
Not necessarily. I know there are instructors who charge like 500, 550 for a session, but then I just don't think it's worth $550. Like
Okay.
even with me, yes, I provide a lot of value, but that's, and I know I'm leaving money on the table, but it's not something that I'm trying to get to. That's not my goal right now. My goal really is to see so many people at the same time that I'm making tenfold that
Hmm.
with 1 hour of multiple people. So I don't want to charge one individual a higher rate,
Yeah.
but I do want to make more per hour with several people at the same time. So
Okay.
yes, that is a goal of mine. And I continue to grow that every year or even less every few months. That does increase. And
Hmm.
I'm adapting and thinking of new ways to be able to do that, whether it's virtually or in person or growing like I am in
Yeah.
Miami with a larger space and with the clientele that's in the area. So to be able to attract more people at the same time and being able to accommodate that number of people, then that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm growing. But a real big goal of mine is to retire at 40. So I got four
Nice.
years. Yeah, 4 years before I do that. And that's my hope.
Now,
So,
when you retire at 40, like, um, I'm in the retirement business, right? This is what I do for people. So you're
uh-huh.
speaking to the right person here. But
Mm,
I define retirement as the ability to know that you don't actually have to work again. You have enough passive income to live your life.
right.
That doesn't necessarily mean you will stop working,
Correct.
right? So do
Correct.
you look at it as saying, okay, at 40, cashing in my chips, I'm out. I do not want to do any form of work or business or anything. I'm vacationing, I'm reading, I'm toes in the sand. I'm like that, or do you just want to achieve a milestone where you go, I did it. I have enough assets. I don't have to work, but I choose to do what I want to do.
Correct. Second one. So that's exactly it. I want to be able to do everything that I can, exhaust every aspect, every avenue from the
Mhm.
Pilates industry that I can. Have enough passive income to know that I don't need to wake up every morning at 5:30 in the morning to go train clients.
Yeah,
So that's the goal. But I mean, I'm ready when I say retire, what's my next career? What's the next thing that I'm gonna
I see.
go through?
From
So it's
Pilates, from being a daily
from
Pilates.
Pilates.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Pilates.
So
Yeah.
you want to have exit Pilates, or will you have the businesses you've established run by other people and just take a royalty, you think?
I don't know. It's something that I'm beginning to think about now, which is good because I don't know if I aged myself. I don't even know how old I am anymore. I think I have like 5 years left, not four, something. But
Some simple math there. 40 minus 5 is 35.
yeah, exactly. So
So
then we're good.
there you go. Good. You got 5 years.
This is why I need help with my math skills.
There you go.
But no, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to be able to go into the next career,
Yeah.
whatever that may be, because I wasn't always in fitness prior to my career as a Pilates instructor. I was a graphic designer and I worked in fast fashion. So
Wow.
I'm ready for the next thing.
That's amazing. I went to school for graphic design and fashion design also. That's what I did before I became a financial advisor.
What were you doing?
Well, I went to school. I was going to school for a design degree. I had 2 years in, and then I was planning to transfer to Otis in Los Angeles. That was my goal. But I took a little bit of time off to raise money so I could just pay for it myself. And I was working at Nordstrom in South Coast
Hmm.
Plaza in Orange County, and I was getting around high-end people and selling clothes and shoes and all this stuff. And then the recession hit in 2008 and everything started crashing. And as I was taking my initial 2-year degree to try to go get jobs, I had done like 2 years of internships. I had made all these contacts. The whole industry from so I grew up in Orange County, surfer, all this stuff. I interned at a lot of action sports companies and maybe some of your more like SoCal fashion stuff. But
Hmm.
anyways, all these places were laying off like crazy. Everyone I knew either had lost their jobs or they were saying, we can just bring you back as an intern. And I was like, I can't do another internship, no more free work, whatever. So I
Right.
got into insurance sort of as somebody told me about it that I knew who was doing it, and I got into it. And then I was like, I'm going to do this for 1 year, and then the economy will repair itself. I'm going to go back towards design and fashion. And So that first year, I ended up being the rookie of the year in the Southwest of the United States. Out of like 1,000 people, I broke $110,000 income at 23 years old, and I was like,
Amazing.
I'm gonna do this one more year. And I didn't hate
Yeah.
it. I just enjoyed it was this. I was having conversations with people, but at their kitchen tables, and I was helping seniors just kind of transition into retirement and understand all this stuff, right? So then the second year, it went even better. I was like, okay. And then the third year it went better. And then next thing you
Uh,
know, I'm 17 years in. I own a business with my brother for 6 years now. This is
wow.
what we do, right? But I still have a knack for design and look at those things and every now and then get caught up and I'm like, "Ah, I should not be doing this. Somebody else could do this faster and better than me right now. I'm just like, I'm not in my prime of design right now, right?
Why
But
not? You can still go back to it
no, maybe
when
go
you
back to it or something.
retire.
But I'm saying like when we have a website change or something and I'm like,
Oh
oh, and I'm
yeah, I
spending
know.
all this time on it. And then I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Someone else, I have
Yeah.
other more important things in our business to do. But because I know it, you start to get
Hmm.
obsessed, right? And you're like, no, you
Yeah.
can't do that. So I had to learn to let go a little bit.
Yeah. I understand that completely. Yeah. I get that.
So that's great. You have big things on the horizon when it comes to that. And that's what this is all about, having conversations to think bigger, further, look out beyond the natural horizon that you have in your life. And you're looking at some big things. One thing I'll tell you is if you're trying to exit it completely and accumulate assets, like you're like, I'm going to have investments that are going to pay me, not the business you built and you just step away, but you're going to like cash out and sell it. And what you're going to need to find is what is that rock that you need, the total amount, because there is a number that when you have assets that they're going to pay out, and there's a probability of success that those assets can go up against inflation, market fluctuations, economic situations, all of that stuff, and continue to be able to pay you what you need. So if you quote unquote have enough to stop working, but you'll go on to another project at 40, the chances of you living to 100 are roughly 1 out of 20.
Hmm.
So maybe even more than that at your age. And so you then have to have enough assets to pay you what you want to be paid from it for 60 years without running out, or
Yeah.
enough to live off the interest. So this is the thing, a lot of people they meander through it and they don't have any actual idea of what they need. And some people, yeah, they make it. For others, not so lucky, right? It just like they thought they were there and the mark is 30% less than what they needed. So don't want to make this all about me and what I do, but just sharing with you. People out there
No,
want to
but
sell
that
business.
it makes me need, I mean, we need to talk about this a little bit more off this podcast because I want to put myself and position myself in a way that I can do that, sustain myself enough until I figure out what the next phase of my life would
Mhm.
look like. So not necessarily that I'm just sitting on a beach,
Yeah.
but yeah, what my next career would look like, but I have time to do that. So I don't need to rush into it like how women have a clock to be able to have a child. I don't want that clock to run out for the next career. So I want to talk to you more about that. I've been thinking more about retirement plans, and I've also been looking more into SEP IRAs and 401ks and what I need to really prepare myself with. So I want to talk to you more about that later.
Fantastic. That's my world. That's what I'm in all day long.
Yeah, good.
So, what do you think has been the biggest challenge, being a business owner and running a studio and clients and all this stuff? What's been the hardest part about it?
Realistically, what I've taken every step cautiously. So I am running at a million miles an hour just because I'm doing a lot of different things, but I don't ever feel overwhelmed in the sense that I'm not educating myself enough to be able to make the decision that I feel is right for me. So there's no there was up until this point I haven't had a point and an interaction that was like I really felt uncomfortable the way I handled a situation
Mhm.
because I've been learning to adapt, but also be patient with the process
Yeah.
and educating myself the most. So I use the resources that I have with my clients, the people that I know, people who are lawyers, people who are just like you, who can help me with potential retirement, with insurance. So the most difficult I wouldn't say difficult. It's just when there's a lot of things to do, an overwhelming amount of tasks that need to be completed, and make sure you're compliant again or across the board with all of them. But knowing how much workload you should take on at each given point. And I feel like up until this point, like I mentioned, I've done a realistic growth of this process of this business.
Yeah.
So I'm always what I feel. It's like a feeling. It's more of an intuition that like I'm ready for the next step. And when I'm ready for that next step, I don't let my family pressure me into doing things and opening things right away. I take it step by step so I understand what I'm doing and I'm making the choices that feel right for me. So I haven't had like an overwhelming, like I wish I did something different point for my business, but I hope to continue on this more patient path.
Yeah. Well, that's great. A lot of people move too quickly. I have personal experiences and talked about in some of the prior episodes where moved too quickly or didn't look for the caution. I had this I don't know, weird belief at one point. It's like, well, we made a plan, so I guess it's going to work, right? It's like we made a map, so we're going to get there. But then you're like, oh, look, there's a grizzly bear on the trail. Like, what do we do?
Right.
You know?
So what do you do?
Yeah. But
To be able to adapt on the path. Yeah, it's like a lot of people get fixated on their end goal. And then like how do you get there? It really just depends on the situation that you're in at any given moment.
yeah,
And because of the job that I have, I'm always adapting to different circumstances under different outcomes that may happen depending on the day or the if a body is tired or if it's some exercise I chose that was not correct for right that moment. So in life, the same thing. I know I have some sort of vision, right? But my goal is kind of like it's more of an area that I want to be in.
yeah.
So I try to adapt as much as possible.
Now, do you have children?
No, no children.
Okay. So how have you dealt with the challenges of, or let me ask it this way. Has running your own business and moving 100 miles an hour and growing and all that stuff, has it caused you any personal sacrifices, challenges, or made life hard on that side of things?
Definitely. So personal sacrifices, yeah. There's always a little bit of you that you give up a little too much in terms of your business and for growth. So right now, I've always dove deep into anything that I did in terms of work relation. And this is the first time I own my own business. But I worked just as hard when I worked for somebody else. And ever since my first job was when I was 14 years old, and I've been working every day since. Um, I, when I continued to work with different people, I knew that I wanted my own business. I just didn't
Yeah.
know how to get there or what kind of business I wanted to invest in my time. But by doing that, knowing you want to have your own business, you're fully investing in that. And that's where you're dedicating your time to. So relationships it can take a toll. And I feel like the relationships that you want to continue to grow, that continue to water, those are the ones that will stick with you. And if those relationships can continue to grow parallel to me growing a business and people adapting to who I need to be as an individual to be able to achieve whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve, those are the relationships that stick around. So, yeah, relationships do change over time. People that I do surround myself change over time because I'm changing and I'm growing and I'm always constantly pivoting. And if there's people who can't pivot with me or find it too challenging, I find it too challenging to continue growing with them or them growing with me. Yeah, there are relationships that I've had for 15 years that unfortunately have just unraveled.
Yeah.
And it's because of who I'm choosing to be as an
Right.
individual with what I'm trying to invest in.
Right. Now, when I asked you that question, I saw in your face you're a little like, ah, like, is there
'Cause it,
something more there? Like, is there a story we can unpackage that people will get something out of? Like, what you looked like? Should I go there or not? I'm just calling out what I see. And so, can we go there? What is like the
yeah,
biggest struggle with that?
So there were so many ways I could have answered that question because there are so many moments in my life that I
Mhm.
feel like because I am who I am and how I'm always constantly adapting, there are relationships that have changed. And there are parts of my life that at one point was exactly where I wanted to be and I thought I would be for a very long time.
Mhm.
But there's always a shift. So there are relationships that have changed because of that, because of people put like what I had mentioned, like people adapting to what you want to,
Yeah.
who you want to become, and some people not being able to change with you. And it puts me in a position, so it makes me a little sad to know that somebody wouldn't be able to be in that position with me and grow
Right.
with me, and you just kind of grow apart.
Mhm.
And growing apart, it makes you sad because you've had that person in your life for so long, but it no longer makes you happy. And I will say this because it's something that I'm experiencing right now and having a relationship that, like as family, right, that you hoped would be there forever. Um, Things don't happen that way. And being okay with that, being okay with allowing change to help allow you to grow. And it's an exciting thing to see because when you can feel like you're growing as an individual for the better and you no longer like what we talked about, like you set a goal and you're going to be that thing, you're going
Yeah.
to do that thing. Like for me as an individual, like I could say who I am 5 minutes ago, and then I hear somebody else's perspective. I've experienced something different. 10 minutes from now, I can say, actually, I don't believe in that anymore. So to be able to do that and to be able to understand that it's okay to pivot that quickly and to feel comfortable in one aspect at one point of your life and to feel uncomfortable in a different, it's rewarding. It's like a breath of fresh air. Like the weight is lifted off your shoulders. You're okay to make changes that are difficult. And then you're okay to you will be okay. You're not the only person making difficult changes or difficult, um, yeah, decisions in your life that will change your entire life.
Yeah.
And you see it in movies, like you get up and go and you move to Europe and you meet a
Right.
man or
Right.
you meet a wife at the bar and you're happy forever. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, let me try that. Why not? So there's things like that. It's like it's it's where I am right now currently in my
Mhm.
personal life and it's an exciting new venture. And but yeah, relationships like people that you keep in your life, they won't always potentially always be there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in high school, you're like, we're friends forever. We're never gonna,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, I do have some friends from back in the day like that, but not the group that you rolled with on the weekends. And you're like, we'll always be together. So, being someone who's gone through life, grown, advanced, developed, all this stuff, right? And you've shed previous layers of your life and relationships have gone away. How do you make a judgment call to say, either this person I'm okay pulling away from, or you talked about making these changes and thinking, is it ever not the right move to make the change and to be called one way? Or like, do you have a method where you're like, okay, this is where I go and this is what I do, or how I work through this? Or is it more of a looking in the rearview mirror and going like, oh, I kind of realized that I just don't see that person anymore, versus like a tactical, no, I'm doing this, they're not on board, and I've made a decision that I'm cutting them out?
Right. I feel like when I was younger, and I would say younger, like even up until a year ago, I was that kind of person, like, I'm gonna cut you out of my life. Like, you rubbed me the wrong way, you said something that didn't quite resonate with who I am. But the more I grow as an individual, the more people I meet, my job specifically helps me understand so many different personalities and perspectives. It helps me grow every second of the day. And I love that because, I keep going back to what we talked about, like having that goal and having like tunnel vision towards something. It doesn't help you grow as an individual and also in a business. You have to be adaptable. You have to be a chameleon. And cutting people out just doesn't do it because people, we make mistakes. I make mistakes all day long. And we make mistakes and we say things that we don't necessarily mean. So to cut somebody out isn't a fair chance to that individual. Then there can be a situation when somebody does you so wrong after knowing you so well. Like that's like really getting at you to your core. That's somebody who just doesn't respect you as an individual. And I can say that about clients too. Like, so whoever, if somebody doesn't respect you as a person, that to me, I don't know how I could see getting past that. But you never know because over time, it won't hurt as much. Somebody once said to you or did something to you, it won't hurt as much. But to remember, like at one point, like a person could have done that to you, or a person could have said something to you, but they're growing. So maybe they got better because I can forgive somebody for something. Somebody can also learn to not do something like that in the future. So I think being able and being open to hearing people out for whatever situation, whatever something is in different stages of life is something that I hope and wish anybody and everybody could see because it's a difficult thing to do. Um, but yeah, it's like we're all human. At the end of the day, we're all
Mhm.
human, and hopefully we can all just remember that and
Yeah,
be nice to one another.
right. Well, I think that's a good way to look at it for sure. I mean, we got to be able
Yeah,
to get along and manage our differences, and people all they need to grow sometimes, right? And so, just
we
curious how
all
you
do.
deal with
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so this idea that you're in this world of all of these people who are at like the top of their game and they're obviously making great money and they're probably traveling the world and eating the best meals and driving the coolest cars and all that stuff. Is this all normal to you? Are you like, is it Nicky from the block or is it Nicky from like Coconut Grove, like the high end, like you're used to everything you see today? Like, what was your upbringing? Where'd you come from?
So I grew up in Miami and I grew up in a home in the Gables.
Hmm.
So with both my parents, my sister, and my younger brother. And we went to a private Catholic school that my grandfather paid for. So, or my aunt. I don't know. I think it was both of them.
Okay.
But we, my core group, my parents, we were comfortable in a sense that I knew the same lifestyle that I see now with the clientele that I'm seeing,
Hmm.
right? I grew up in that lifestyle. Not that I was driving in a Porsche coming into high school like my classmates were at the age of 16, but my sister and I were sharing an old Jetta, but we
Hmm.
were surrounded by that.
Yeah.
And we still had a car though. And I knew my sister and I sharing a car, like we still had a car, and that's huge.
Yeah.
So there was never an instant that I felt that my parents weren't trying to give me everything that I wanted to
Right.
be able to be a part of that world. I knew it was difficult for my mom to have us in kind of like around that kind of lifestyle and not being able to just casually go buy a Chanel bag. But I think that's why I grew up like not caring about the material things. Like it's
Hmm.
just like I had what I had and when I needed it. But so it doesn't phase me when I see people with a lot of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't phase me when everybody has the latest trends. Like I know you went to school for fashion. I went to school for graphic design and like I was in fast fashion, but not like that I knew about fashion per
Right,
se.
right. Now I was
Um,
I was primarily in graphic design also. So I
okay,
was like
also okay,
Illustrator, Photoshop and
same,
all the design. Yeah.
exactly.
But I had a tilt towards garment design. So I was also taking
Okay,
sewing classes and figuring out how to do
cool.
pattern making
Yeah,
and that type of stuff,
I
but
didn't do that.
I had more on the graphic I think side. Like that's where I could sew a shirt or something today. I just haven't done that in a long time.
I can do screen printing.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
loved that class.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, my sister's like amazing at knowing fashion and knowing the latest
Mhm.
trends and all the things. And She has the most incredible sense of fashion. I'm the opposite. Like I really don't care. The
Mm,
way I dress is because she's telling me what to buy, and the things that I'm doing, the skincare routine, is because of her. So
nice.
um, it doesn't faze me when somebody's coming in here and showing me their new car. I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful,
Mhm.
but like when celebrities come in, they're like, "Oh, I'm so and so." I'm like, "And I'm so and so." Like we're
Yeah,
just people who have a job that potentially can have your face in the spotlight or not.
right.
So I think my clients like that about coming in here. Like, I'm not starstruck and I'm not looking like I told you with my pricing. I'm not looking for the biggest payout.
Hmm.
I'm just looking for that personal connection, honestly, daily, because I want to wake up every day and feel great about what I do and enjoy my time with the people that I get to meet.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you grew up on the conservative end of a really nice area. Is that
Very, yeah,
fair? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Very. Go ahead.
no, I mean, I totally forgot we were talking about my upbringing. But so then that's what I was talking about. But yeah, I grew up in Miami. And then my mom actually worked at the University of Miami. And at that point in time, if you were there past, I think, 15 years, your kids can get free tuition. So I went to the University of Miami,
Nice.
which is a private college and a private university,
Mhm.
and it's like $50,000 a year, and I went for free.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, I got really lucky. My mom made very smart choices for her kids to be able to attend the best schools. And once we graduated, she quit
Hmm.
right away. She was
Yeah.
out of there. But
How
um,
I'm
yeah,
sure you value your time there, but how important do you think college is in someone being successful?
I wouldn't know otherwise because I did go to school, but I going to school helped me gain a lot of experience and taking classes that molded me to where I am today. I think
Mhm.
everything is a stepping stone to a different direction. So if I didn't know about if I wasn't learning about graphic design and studying abroad in Prague, I wouldn't have met my boyfriend there,
Mhm.
or my ex-husband at the time. But we grew together. I moved to LA because of my ex-husband. And I wouldn't have been in the position that I am now if I never came to LA and learned about Pilates and
Yeah.
had this kind of clientele. So every piece I think is part of the experience. So going to college, I loved the experience. I mean, I was at University of Miami, the college football games, the basketball
Mm.
games, like the people I met, the experiences that I had. For me, it was part of the experience. The classes I took, I loved. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it can. There's a lot of people who are successful not going to college. Athletes
Yeah.
don't go to college. A lot of them don't go to college. A lot of celebrities, and it just really depends on of the
Yeah.
individual. If you want to continue education, those 4 years or not.
Yeah, I think from the experience level, everyone's going to have their own experience with it, but there's some amazing things that can happen. Talk about Prague a little bit. You went to Prague. How long
Mm.
were you studying abroad?
So well, I studied abroad 3 times, but in Prague was my second semester sophomore year. Prague is a beautiful place. It's magical. It's like I was there in the fall. It was freezing. So being from Miami, I
Oh.
didn't know. Like I had we've gone to New York a few times during the holidays.
Hmm.
That's cold, but Prague in the winter and walking to campus, miserable. Like
How'd you choose to go
miserable.
there?
Um, I don't know. I was just like somewhere I'd never been. It
Yeah.
was somewhere that I had never been, and
Just
I think it was the
like spun a
first.
globe and then just like boop, touched it and then it was
No,
Prague.
it was part of the University of Miami. So it's like it wasn't so much an exchange program, which
Uh,
UM does. It's like it's UM on a different campus. So UM students all together in your dorm rooms and then also on campus. So
mhm.
you every class you took was just with University of Miami students. And it was the first one leaving the first week of January. So I was like, I'm out. I want the first one out that I'm going to
Yeah.
go to in sophomore year. So I studied art history while I was there, which there are incredible museums in Europe, all over Prague, and I learned so much art history, and it was an incredible time. But the city is beautiful.
I have heard it's amazing. I actually I officiated a wedding, and after the wedding, I had a dude come up and he's like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting married in 6 months, and you got to do our wedding, and it's in Prague." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Fly me out to Prague. Let's go. Like bring my wife with
No,
me and let's do it." Right? It didn't end up happening. I think that he was a couple drinks deep, and his fiance was like, we don't even know this guy or whatever." It didn't end up happening.
yeah.
But I started looking up Prague and stuff. I'm like, "Hey, we might go to Prague. All right, let's see if this works out." It's like
You
this
should,
could be
have you
amazing.
gone since or no?
No, I have not gone. I've actually never
Take your
been to
wife.
Europe.
Okay, well,
I've not.
when you go to Europe, take your wife to Prague during the winter.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. It's so romantic. The way
That's
they
awesome.
light up the city at night, they have all these Christmas markets,
Mm.
which are really fun. I mean, Europe has the best markets during the holidays.
You know what it kind
Um,
of sounds like it reminds me of, but I don't know if it's true. Have you been to Quebec? Quebec City,
no,
the old town Quebec? So that they have these cobblestone roads and all these shops and these things and these narrow and all these lights
yeah,
hang
winey road.
and like you can eat your way through Quebec. Every place you go, I don't care if it's a burger joint on the side of the corner, they treat it like it's like extreme French cuisine. It's so good. There's not bad food there at all.
No,
It's amazing. Like every single place that we ate. Now there's Quebec, like the state or whatever of
yeah,
Canada, right? No, I'm talking about Old Town Quebec, like on the water, the where it's all the old
pretty.
buildings and the original kind of settlement. They have the big cannons on the side and the big castle and stuff there. There, they take their
Yeah.
food seriously.
Okay, well, I have to go. We're going to, well, it's not so far from here, Quebec, but we're going to Toronto next week for some workshops, but I need to get up there. I hear it's beautiful. It
If
looks just
you
like that.
if you can go to Quebec, go to the Chateau Frontenac. That is a
Okay.
big castle that's been turned into a hotel. Go check it out. It's incredible. I was there like a sales convention that I earned a trip, and we went. We stayed in the Frontenac, but
Oh, pretty.
then you could walk, and there's all these shops and restaurants and everywhere really close by. I don't know how far it is from Toronto. I don't think it's like just a quick little drive. I think you might have to
No,
like,
I think it's
yeah,
a
I think
flight.
it's a flight,
But
but
yeah, I have to plan a trip. That sounds so
it's
beautiful.
amazing.
It sounds like Prague. It really does sound like Prague.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen Prague, but I should go there, and I'll let you know how it is. You let me know how Quebec is. We'll just
Okay, perfect.
exchange
We'll
things like
trade.
that. Yeah. Well, so what do you see in the future outside of just like, I know you're doing your studio and you've shared some of those things, but I really like to challenge people. Like, if you push beyond the horizon, it doesn't have to be in your business. I'm a big believer that there's five pinnacle things in life that are our main drivers, right? You've got your faith, you've got your family or your love, your health, your wealth, and then your leisure. And I think
Hmm.
that our time needs to be spent in different degrees at different times of life across these like three things. Five things, right?
I was like, which one are
Yeah,
we
yeah.
eliminating?
No, yeah. So if you think of these five things: faith, love, health, wealth, and leisure, tell me one thing that's like really, if you pushed yourself, it's beyond the horizon, that you're like, I do want to put that on the map and say I'm gonna do it. I really do want to make something like that happen that isn't already part of your normal agenda.
I think the leisure and the love s- really stand out the most because that's what I'm working towards. And like that's where my end goal would be, just to be able to at some point relax and enjoy. I'm trying to incorporate being more present in everything and every aspect that I of life that I'm in right now, but I can't get past like the leisure and the love aspect. And it's not just for me to chill a little
Mhm.
bit and but the love comes in hand because if I can relax a little and find time, I can find time for myself and also find time for the loved ones that I have. So family and friends, because like you mentioned, also health is very important and we don't know how long we have that health. So my mom is actually she's had cancer for 10 years.
Wow.
And one of the reasons why I want to move back home to Miami is because how much longer am I going to be away from my mother with cancer that I don't know
She's
how much
living with
time.
it for 10 years?
Yeah, and she's going to have cancer for
What
life.
kind of cancer
And
is it?
so It's a very, it was rare 10 years ago, but they're called neuroendocrine tumors. So we have a neuroendocrine system in
Uh-huh.
our body, and these tumors pop up anywhere in your body. Like tumors can, but these specific tumors, they don't know what they're caused by. They don't know where they'll latch onto. They don't know where they'll be, what kind of the growth process of it. So they can grow really quickly, they can grow really slowly, they can be very aggressive, or they can be very mild. So some people typically have a few of these tumors and
Mhm.
they can remove them surgically. My mom has over hundreds in her body and they can't remove them. So they're in her body, and last year she did radiation treatment, which is like almost like a chemo treatment
Yeah.
for about 6 months, and it's pretty aggressive. I was like, okay, every time, like when we first heard she was sick, I was like, okay, I'm going to move back to Miami. So I try to get my husband on board to move back to Miami with me. My mom's sick. I want to be there. I don't know how much time we have. Then, okay, when she's going to start whatever specific treatment, I want to be there for that, just in case she's sick and my sister needs help with taking care of my mom, with anything, whatever it may be. And then it was like the next step, and I kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And I'm like, it's been 10 years. I still haven't moved back. I want to be with my family. So being able to set a goal of the leisure, so being
Mhm.
able to push myself as hard as I can, but thinking about trying to be as present as possible while I'm pushing myself, because I don't want that tunnel vision and forgetting about everything on the way there.
Mhm.
And then having the love to be able to share the love that I want to give to my family, being present while being in Miami because of the health issues, and then and health. Like you never know when something's going to happen
Mhm.
or if something will happen. It can happen to any of us. So I want to be able to be more present daily with my family, to be able to have that love aspect that I've been aspiring to have for so long, that I feel like I've left behind. Um, so those are the three really important things to me that I focus on. I try to remind myself, like, these are the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, but like life is so short. So like I just want
Mhm.
to go ahead and do them already, and be with the
Yeah.
people that I love. Hmm.
Yeah, you've got to, right? I mean, I know it takes it's a process to go in there, but um, I did an interview earlier in the podcast, a guy named Mark Evans, and he was giving an example and talking about things, and how his mom like couldn't just quit, but she wanted to quit so bad and all these things. And I said, now being an entrepreneur and successful, how do you look back on somebody saying that they they can't quit, or a mom that can't quit? And then, he said, no, you can. You can, but you've got to formulate the path. You have to start to figure out the way. And too many of us get stuck in this, I can't because of these circumstances. And ultimately, you can. But you might not just be able to snap your fingers and do it, but you can create a path towards it. From the end of 22 until beginning of 2024, my wife and three kids and I, we traveled the country in an RV, and we went to a different city every like 2 weeks for almost not quite a year and a half.
I've
And
always wanted to do that.
okay, so what you just said, almost every state we were in, somebody would ask a question, are you from here? What are you doing? Whatever. And then you tell them, oh, we're traveling. We're only here a couple weeks. We're going this and that, right? And people would say, oh man, you're living my dream.
Yeah,
Now, I
that's
was
so cool.
working full time. We were running a business. I wasn't on vacation for a year and a half, but we were still seeing places. But my point to this is, everybody would say that. And I would look at
But
them
it
and
doesn't do it.
I would look at them and I'd say, you can do it. You can do it. It doesn't, I'm doing it. We left, we put our stuff in storage, and we bought an RV and a truck, and we started going.
That's
Now,
so cool.
everyone's resources are different and all these things, right? But like on limited resources, like we made it happen and we did it. And there was struggles for sure. There was times we felt like, we were alone. Other times it was amazing. But anyway, my whole point behind that is just that we can do those things. And if you've had 10 years, you've wanted to do it, there is a path to getting there. And I know you mentioned like there wasn't maybe agreement in going there, all that stuff, but I encourage you to make it happen. And then the whole being present thing is so huge. I have struggled with this, and I feel like I have phases on and off. It's much easier to be present when everything in the business is just going smooth and on point, right? And when you're dealing with challenges, and I know you have at least one employee, right? Fantastic Shannon.
Yeah, yeah, she's actually, yep, behind the camera.
Yeah,
Fantastic Shannon. That's a great nickname for you.
there you go. How many employees do you have in your business?
I have a small team. I have four people.
Okay. So through running the business, I know you said you went cautiously and slow. I did not have the same path of growth as we decided to make things happen. But have you ever faced times where like payroll is going to be a challenge, or like, shoot, we haven't had as many customers, or like we have problem where it's like money issues in your business, and it's like it becomes difficult to be present because it's like, what are we going to do? Like, have you ever had that?
No, fortunately, no.
Okay.
Because again, I take my time with making decisions and I make sure that I'm not overextending myself.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I did witness that in my household, right? Like there were times because I did get a job so early because I wanted to help my family out. I knew they were asking for money from different avenues and we had support of the family when needed, but I didn't want to get to that point that my father had to ask me for money to pay a specific bill. Right? I wanted to make sure when I grew up or when I was an individual, not a dependent anymore, that I was able to support every choice that I was making in my growth as an individual, but also in my business. So I I move slowly, purposely, so I don't run into situations that put me through a course of anxiety. I like to be able to control all of the outcomes, the different situations that could potentially happen, but also I'm able to adapt if necessary. But I put myself in situations that hopefully I don't encounter specific growth challenges in the way of financial instability. But can you explain? I had a question about the RV thing.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go back.
How did you make that choice to just be like, we're gonna do it? Because I keep thinking, I'm like, I just want to move to Europe for a year
Yeah.
and like kind of go on my own and enjoy and see what that's like. But it's like, but I have a business and I have people who are dependent on me. Like, how do you
So,
just get up and go?
well, I think that there's obviously certain businesses cater more towards being able to do that and not, right?
Yeah.
So building out a plan and being able to do it, I would say you definitely could do it. But here's how it went with us. The true kind of story is the the pandemic hits in 2020. It's January 1st, 2020. My brother and I we decide to start Policy Engineer, and that's our insurance agency. We're going to start Policy Engineer, and 2020, January. And we had this vision of wanting to take like financial services a little bit more modern. We were prior to that, for the 7 years before that, every day I would have 3 to 5 appointments a day at people's kitchen tables. So I'd leave my house and I'd be driving to houses. Sometimes I'm driving an hour away. No one shows up, doing all this stuff. And we're like, it's cool seeing people and doing all that, but every meeting doesn't have to happen this way. We should be able to do a lot of this virtually.
Yeah.
So pandemic hits, everything goes virtual. So that was fortunate
Yeah.
for us, right? A lot of our clientele kind of not as much anymore, but was seniors. The previous companies we all worked for were like specializing like at 65 you retire, right? So anyway, it's a combination of two things. I'm doing virtual, working from my house, wearing like board shorts and dress shirts, right? And like no one, so, and I'm like, man, I don't even have to, I could do this from anywhere. That's kind of the thought you have, right? And then also during the pandemic, we were not so stoked on the lockdowns. We were not so stoked on the distancing, and to each their own, but that was our take on it. Was like, it was not something that we were into, supportive of, and really all about at all. And I was the outcast in grocery stores because I wasn't the mask up guy and all that stuff. And my wife's pregnant and I'm doing all the grocery shopping and stuff. I'm out there. Anyway, after a little while of this, California, we left on a road trip to our friend's house that lives in Michigan. And on that road trip, we like crossed the border of California into Nevada, and then you keep going. And all of a sudden it was like normal life outside of
Yeah,
California.
I know.
Right. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what the heck? Like, are you
Yeah.
serious? And we made it all the
Yeah.
way there. And it was like a couple of weeks long, like road trip there. We stayed there for a while, road trip back. And we got back and it was like, do we want to stay
Yeah.
here? how
Yeah.
long is it going to be like this? It's obviously everything's normal again, right now. But that was the question. And then we were like, okay, well, if we're going to leave, where are we going? We
Mhm.
all of our both my wife and I are raised in Orange County. So we're like, we don't have family really out of here, and we have a couple friends, but are we going to go move? Where would we want to go? And then
Mhm.
one of my friend's uncles that I'm close to was a CEO, and him and his family got in an RV and they traveled for a while, and he was like operating and answering, doing the company, and like a
Cool.
CEO of a major corporation, not like small time local. I mean like thousands of employees, right? And he's traveling and doing stuff for a while, and I was like, we have 9 people. At the time, we had 5. Like, we could do this. I could do it virtually. So anyway, some of these things led up to it. And then I think my son was the one that brought it up and was like, we could get an RV and that, and he's like, gosh, how old was he at the time? No, he's probably like 8 at the time. And so we start looking into it. My wife does research and looks into it, and we figure it out and start looking at floor plans. And then what really was that last thing that, like, I think God changes our environments to kind of lead what that next like path is, right? And so we were leasing a house at the time, and they said, "Hey, we're going to sell the house," and we're like, "We don't want to buy this house," and we got. I'm pretty invested in my business. It made sense at the time
Mhm.
to be leasing. We needed cash to do these other things, and so anyway, we're like, well, I guess this is the right timing, right? We're going to have to
That's
move
crazy.
anyways, and so we started planning it, and then yeah, we lined it all up. I found a truck that I wanted. My wife actually found it, but it was dope truck, and it was in where was it? Mississippi. And I found the 45-foot RV toy hauler trailer in Colorado, and I took a flight and I went to Mississippi, drove the truck, hitched up the trailer on there, and then drove home, and then we kind of hit the road. And we didn't know where we were going more than, I mean, sometimes we were driving to the next state and we didn't even know where we're staying yet. And we'd be calling and setting up like where we're going to stay. And then sometimes we're booked out maybe a few weeks ahead of time, and it just varied. So that's a long answer, right? But ultimately,
That's very cool.
it was all these different factors kind of like made it. But if you've been thinking
Yeah.
about it for a long time, I definitely think that no matter what, like it's something you could make happen. And what you have to probably look at in your form of business is one of two things. I'm just going to throw this out there entrepreneurially, right? Is one, while you're here, can you start to establish a following and a potential client base in Europe where you want to go, so that you could go and replant yourself and be like, cool, I have, I don't know, 10 professional soccer players in Europe that I'm going to do Pilates with, and find a Pilates studio that lets you sublease a space on days of the week and do all that. And like,
Yeah.
can you
I've been doing
recreate
that.
it? Perfect.
Yeah.
That's one
I've
idea.
already been building it for about a year and a half.
So that's one thought I have. The other thought I
Mhm.
have is virtual. I know you
Which,
said you
yeah,
do that, right? You
yeah,
could do that. Or the other thing you could really probably just lean completely into for a year or something is just train the Pilates instructors and not do any or very little, right? Just a few to keep yourself in the game, and go all that, because that could be fully virtual. And I think a lot of, if
yeah,
I mean, I don't know Pilates inside and out, but I would imagine minimum 50% of the training has to be around operating the business, managing clients. What do you charge? Contracts. When do you kick a client out? How do you do this? Like, and then maybe the other half is technical machine work and how you treat like a certain thing. But you don't have to sit there with them and do it. I don't think you can have a
yeah,
meeting
no,
like this, right? And teach and do
yeah.
videos.
You're spot on. I mean, I do all of that already. So I've been building exactly what you're saying in order to be able to go away and still have income coming in while training people.
Yeah.
And I've been saying for about a year, eventually I won't train professional athletes, because I was one of the only instructors training professional athletes for a number of years. And now I teach teachers how to
Yeah.
teach professional athletes. So working, I'm going more towards the instructor realm. I have been. So the studio in Miami, the mentorship studio, is that's the one of the reasons why I'm doing that.
Mm.
So I can eventually never be in the studio and have a lot of clients or a lot of instructors that are they stem from me and the way I teach, and
Yeah,
then my clientele can continue to come because of that. So yeah, Matt, you said exactly what my plan is
that's
unfolding
perfect.
as we speak. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. So hopefully I'll be living in Europe and I'll take my mom and she can come and go as she pleases.
That'll be
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
um, I'm so stoked to hear that. It's
Thank
fantastic. I think it's going to be so cool. And so I greatly appreciate your time, your energy, your willingness to share, to get vulnerable, and to be here on the podcast. It's been awesome. Anything else on your heart that you're like, man, I got to get this out there for the people?
for the people.
Yeah, the people out there
Um,
listening to this, or for yourself, maybe a form of just self therapeutic. Like to me, these conversations, I'm like, I told Richard before, I'm like, it's like kind of therapy to me. Like I like just having these conversations. So anything that you want to put out there that we didn't talk about that you're like, I got to share this, and it's a benefit to anyone out there who is either. I think there's two main listeners to this, and I don't know because I can't get in all their heads. There's either people who are going through it, they're listening, they're going through something, and we are going to inspire them to make it out the other end and keep looking. Or some of the conversations we have on here, there are people who think they are just in clear waters and they are not paying attention. There's a storm on the rise, and times might get tough. And some of the
mhm,
stories we share in here give people some insight into the future to go, dang, I'm just like them right before that thing happened, and we give them
mhm,
a little bit of insight. So I just want to make
mhm.
sure from all your experience and your expertise, before we wrap up, is there anything that you feel like you can give to the world in this conversation that I have not asked you that you share that's like a piece of you that you want to put out there?
So first off, this was so much fun, and I appreciate giving the opportunity to voice just what it's like to have a business, especially as a young female professional living in Los Angeles, which is very difficult.
Why
Um,
is it difficult being a young female
so
professional in Los Angeles?
here we go. This is one of the things. LA is a very challenging city, especially moving from Miami to LA. It's a very big city, and the everybody out here, it's a great place, really, but it's different from any place. Um, Living as a woman and being a woman creating a business, this day and age is it's changing, right? Especially living in LA, that's so progressive, but it's not as simple for so many people depending on where you live. And I'm lucky that I do live here in LA and I'm able to grow a successful business as a woman, but it's hard because people see you differently when you are a woman trying to be successful on your own.
How do
Um,
you know they see you differently?
because it's apparent when you meet people who are very successful and have men specifically and have businesses and they're educated in a specific manner that they think it's cute that you have a vision or it's cute that you have a business that you want to grow, but you might not necessarily need to have that. So
Do they
the
tell you this though?
not in those words specifically, but there are ways, yeah, that you have an understanding that that's it's kind of like, oh, it's okay, like it's a small business for you and it's good for you to have.
Now, how
Um,
do you know they're saying that and they're saying that because you're a woman?
there are experiences that I've had in the past that it's a lot of it has to do with being a woman in business that you're not always looked up to from a
Well,
successful man.
yeah.
And and not that I've encountered anything that's like it was an awful moment, but it's hard for young women to own businesses. And there's always now more so than others. I mean, women we have a lot of different careers, and I love that actually. Like I said it recently, like everybody I interact with is like a strong female independent like entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and it just gives me the encouragement and the just the um, confidence to continue doing what I'm doing because
Yeah.
I like to be around other young, successful women, female entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
and it helps build confidence for sure
Yeah.
in business
I,
specifically. But um, advice or not advice, but an experience that I want to tell like the viewers before we jump off is it would be to follow and feel like understand your intuition and your gut. And yes, it's nice to crowdsource and speak to others about the hardships and things that you're going through. But it's challenging to understand yourself and to find growth within yourself and to be able to listen to yourself rather than only others
Mhm.
when you want to make difficult choices. And difficult choices are um, presented to us every day, but choosing the opposite path of what you're used to is it's kind of what like I'm going through now and it's been rewarding thus far. So just spending
Yeah.
time with yourself, being present with yourself is a really nice place to be. And it's hard to get there.
It is much easier said than done.
Yeah.
I think there is a time and place to take the path of least resistance, but more often than not, when it's hard, it's right. And pushing ourselves, asking ourselves the hard questions, asking other people the tough questions, right? Like when it's just a little bit challenging, it's probably an indicator you're going in the right direction,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I
Wow.
can I can agree to that. Yeah,
I
for sure.
appreciate you sharing that. And I do want to say something. I'm not challenging you that it isn't harder to run a business or challenging as a female entrepreneur in LA or those things. But I am asking for clarity because I cannot see it through your same lens
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I am an entrepreneur though, and I have had people who run big businesses look at me and talk to me as if my small business is cute or things like that. That's kind of why I asked you that, but I'm a guy,
Okay.
right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a big business, small business thing that's real, that there are some
Yeah.
people who run, and I have found too, I think a lot, not all, but there's an even bigger sense of that when the person who runs the big business, they didn't even create the big business. They're a hired CEO or somebody to run that business, right? And so they're talking down, not even truly understanding the struggles of the small business that's trying to get there because they were like someone who's plugged in or worked their way up the ladder of another business. That's not true all the time, but I'm just saying that exists, period. Small entrepreneur sometimes being looked down on by big entrepreneur, that can happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it might happen more indifferently as a woman also. I just ask you those questions because I want to peel the layers and I want to understand it more, and I want people who hear this to really understand because I do think, but I can't prove this, I guess, but I think that as humans, we take one experience and we carry a little bit of that into the next experience. And then if you do that a lot of times, it's like you could actually be having an experience with someone and kind of making up in your mind all of the intent behind it based on
Agreed. Yeah.
previous experiences. So I think it's important for us to be able to go into an experience authentically experiencing that experience and that person, and not sort of,
Preconceived notion. Mm-hmm.
yeah, because
Yeah, agreed.
you create a
Agreed.
skewed view of what's happening. And I think that's part of being present, is
Mm-hmm.
actually taking the experience 100% for what it is. But at the same time, you got to have guardrails. Obviously, previous experiences give you an ability to heighten your senses and have intuition. And yeah, I'm not saying ignore them, but give the benefit of the doubt that this is a new and brand new experience while still having the lens to finally
100%.
recognize.
Yeah,
So
I
just
agree.
my
I
thought on
agree
that.
with you. Yeah, I
But
agree with you.
I think it's been awesome, and now I got to find a Pilates studio to go do some exercises in and make that happen.
You sure do. You can always join here.
All right, sweet. Where are you at in Los Angeles?
Studio City.
Okay. And how can
Hmm.
people follow you? Where can
On
they?
Instagram. So Instagram, it's Pilates with Nicky Lol. And that's my Pilates Instagram. And then also my website is pilatesfuerza.com.
All right. That is amazing. Well,
Yeah.
it's been fantastic. I think people are going to get great things from this. And before we wrap up, Nicky, can I pray for you?
Yes. Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. Got to come to you right now with just an awesome woman who is working hard, following her dreams, using the gifts that you've given her. I just pray that some of the things on her horizon, that you help them come true. I also pray that anybody listening to this, that they really are just dissecting and taking everything that she said, and if they're looking to start a business or they're struggling as a woman, just man's world, and they feel that way, that you're just with them. And ultimately, I just pray that everyone who's hearing this just takes a moment and gazes their eyes on you and remembers that you have a path that you're lighting, and if we pay attention to it, it may be a road with a little bit less resistance. But anyways, pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Thanks, Matt.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
you so
You're welcome.
much.